I never regret a deep breath before we do the show.
Every once in a while, I take too deep of a breath, though. You gotta be, sometimes you gotta be careful. You get too deep into breathing.
What happens?
Yeah, you get a little lightheaded. You know, you just gotta, you gotta be a little careful.
Oh man, I don't think I've ever put myself in jeopardy.
Yes, you have. You rip in a cold shower and you breathe really, really hard. You just focus on breathing and realize you got to come back to
oh no, I'm gonna fall over.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I guess I've been down that road.
Good.
Welcome to the well-built series of the Morning Huddle. Chad Prinky, Matt Verderamo here.
What is up?
What is happening? This is the I think episode 5 we're working on right now. We've got an awesome plan set up for today. Let's go through a little bit, maybe the agenda.
Yeah.
So the first thing we'll do, Matt, is we'll check in. Right?
Always love that.
Do a little check-in. I know we do it for you.
Doing.
We do it for you.
I'll tell you, you're doing good, Chad. I'm doing good.
I'll tell you how
we're gonna tell them how we're doing.
That's it. Next is we're gonna get into a topic where we're gonna share our thoughts and experiences in working with the construction industry and what we've found. And today's topic is recruiting that really works.
Yes.
And I think that is universally needed by contractors. Next is our debate section, which we call XVY. And in this particular section, the question is, should you fire fast or fire slowly? And then lastly, we will talk about what books we're reading and anything else we're up to before we wrap up.
Yep. Love it.
It'll be an action-packed, roughly, what's the rule?
About an hour.
It's about an hour.
Rule number 1. Show will be about an hour.
Yeah, that's a good rule. Hard and fast.
Good rule. And that's off a feel. There's no timer. There's no nothing. We're just going to feel it out about an hour.
It'll be about an hour.
It'll be about an hour. It'll be about an hour.
Second
Trust
one.
us.
Trust us. Yeah. Well, you can probably see.
Yeah.
By now, you could probably see. They're like, these liars.
Yeah. Right.
Second, we are allowed to swear. We might or we might not swear, but we're allowed.
Gosh darn it.
And
I don't want to use one up.
You don't want to. Is there a limit?
There's no limit. There's no limit. There's no limit. There's no limit. There's no limit.
If there's a limit, I need to know.
I don't want things to get confused.
All right, good. No. And then number 3, came from our last episode, which is a really good rule. No complicated math in our head.
If it ever starts getting into, especially, I think 4-digit answer. No, yeah.
4?
Yeah. Right.
Kidding me?
Right. I know everybody's definition of complicated is different, but we're going to keep it simple. That's for sure. We're going to keep any math we do simple. Otherwise, we're getting a calculator out.
100% simple. Yep. We're kicking around a 4th rule. I don't know if I want to. Should we unveil the 4th rule or should we hold it back and see if we really want to stick by it? Because we record this show in the evenings.
We do,
even though it's the morning huddle, which I know we're trying to bring some evening energy to the huddle environment. So we have a theory, which is no dinner before the filming.
Yes.
Right. Which I don't know that our audience really actually needs to know. Maybe it's not a 4th rule.
Well, that's a good. Okay. I have a big time admission, even since we spoke about this rule an hour ago. We need a ruling on this. We need a ruling.
Okay.
On this. Somehow after we spoke, I was driving here and I loved, and I meant it when I said it, that I loved the rule of no dinner before recording.
You were convincing.
I love the rule.
Yeah.
And I got a little bit hungry. And earlier today, I didn't end up eating my lunch.
Mm-hmm.
So I ate a sandwich and about 3/4 of an orange.
See, the orange, that's fine, I think. But that's not eating. What kind of sandwich?
Turkey sandwich.
Cheese?
There was cheese.
Mayo?
There's mayo.
Yeah. You broke the rule.
No.
You broke the rule.
No.
You did.
But it was from my lunch.
Yeah.
And I'm still going to eat dinner. It was just a little tide me over.
Look, man, if you're saying hey, it was like a slider, it was like a turkey slider, a little slice.
I didn't have an appetizer. I had.
It was a sandwich. Was it a hoagie?
No. It's a standard regulation bread.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, look, we'll call it lunch.
More than anything, I'm sorry. I deceived you. I got so excited about the rule, and then somehow I got so hungry in the car, and I was like, I honestly didn't even think about the fact I was betraying you and stabbing you in the back until I got here.
I feel like, don't do it again.
Yes.
Right?
Okay, so
Right?
it is a rule then,
Right?
because the look you just gave me was very much that this is a rule and you broke it, and you get one chance, and fool me once, shame on me, right?
Well, look, man, I could have been sitting here eating the whole time.
Yes. Were you?
No, I wasn't eating
Good.
anything.
Okay, good. At least one of us has
No.
high integrity.
Were you eating while you were on the phone with me?
I cannot confirm nor
Oh
deny
my
that.
God. All right, we got to move on. So let's check in. Aside from being a deceitful person, what's going on in your world?
Well, I'm feeling well nourished. No, I'm feeling good. I feel really good. I actually, I'll just share this really quickly. Went to a networking event recently that we've helped bring to the Baltimore, DC area that's in other markets, called the Ripple Intent.
Yeah,
The
Ripple Intent,
nonprofit that we work with and have been doing.
It's so not networking per se. It's a very weird kind of way of networking. But man, from what I'm hearing, it opens people up.
It totally does. Yeah, it's really a breakfast conversation, and I call it networking because it's my favorite kind of networking, which is like talking to people about real stuff. I love that versus like the typical networking environment.
Hey, what do you do? Can I have your card?
Right. Exactly. So to me it is, and it's just a deeper level of it. And one of the things that came up was compassion. And I actually brought you up and how you do this really good job of asking the question, how are you? And in this way that shows that there's time and space to it, that you don't just have to say I'm good. And anyway, that thought came to my mind as you just asked it again. I am really good. I really enjoy what we do. I'm having so much fun working with you and working with our team. So I'm doing really excellent. Thank you for asking.
That's awesome, man.
How are you doing?
I'm really well. I had a conversation actually this evening or this afternoon. I can't tell what time it is. I don't know what the rules are. 5
it's before dinner.
Yeah, it's before dinner, so it's afternoon. I mean, it's afternoon. But I had a call with a really really good friend of mine who just started his own business at the beginning of this year, and that was a big leap for him. A scary time, and I spent a lot of time on the phone with him, early, and really enjoyed just being there and helping a friend. And he sent me a text this afternoon that he'd reached a certain milestone that he's been gunning for, and that realistically, Matt, like really shouldn't happen in his first year, but that he's accomplished.
Really?
Yeah, and it just I'm just feeling so happy for my friend. It's like it's a really neat feeling. I'm more exuberant than normal this evening because of that. So yeah,
Wow,
it's
that's really cool. Congratulations to him.
Yeah, it's really great. And like I'm good.
Yeah,
Which is
totally.
things are good in general in the Prinky home and in our business. It's so cool.
Yeah.
We have our team in town this week.
We do.
For so everybody came in from everywhere. Some people from very close, some people from less close, Wyoming and Texas and Chicagolandish, area. People coming in from all over the country to spend time doing our mid-year planning session, and I'm just like blown away that that's happening. That's a weird feeling too, like looking at all these awesome people who come in. I'm like, wow.
How many people were at the mid-year planning session last year?
6,
and we'll have 10 this year.
Yep,
Wow,
that's right.
Wow, that's awesome.
It is. It's anyway going according to plan. Knock wood and all that stuff. But we're all doing. We're feeling very fortunate.
Good. Well, let's keep it up then.
Let's talk about some stuff.
Cool.
Topic for today is recruiting that works. Before we get into recruiting that works, Matt, can we please talk about recruiting that doesn't?
Oh, I love the sound of that.
Yeah.
I love the sound of that.
So what doesn't work when you're hanging out with a construction company and they're like, we can't get anybody here?
Totally.
What are they doing or not doing?
Totally.
You know what? Focus on what they're doing. Like focus on what they're doing wrong, because we're going to start filling in the gaps on what they should be doing.
Totally. I think the first thing they're doing wrong, if you hear a company saying that there's no good people out there, I think one of the things that they're doing wrong is that they're expecting somebody to show up at their door who is perfectly trained and suited for whatever position that they are coming into, and then feeling extremely disappointed when they bring in that person that seems like that on paper and is shocked that they didn't end up being that person.
Love it. Agreed. Completely agree. What else you got? Anything else jump to mind?
I just think in general, it's the proactive, and I'm kind of getting into what is good and what's not, but it's being reactive to these things rather than proactive. And essentially the mindset shifting from we need to find this position to we're always recruiting and we want good people around. So anytime that you're sitting around feeling like, well, we're not hiring for that, we it's nice, wow, there's so many good people, I met people at this event, but we're not hiring, that's a shame. That's one thing that you're missing opportunities if you're closing your mind to how somebody might be able to come in and provide way more value than their salary is worth.
Yep, agreed. One of the other I'll tack onto that. I think that's a really great couple of observations. Another one that I'll tack on is that recruiting is one person's job. That is always really dumb when I come in there, like, well, I don't know, Mary, where are our people? I don't know, Becky, where are our people? You know what I'm saying? It's like, no,
Right.
it's not how this works.
Right.
You can't just look at a recruiter or an HR, more often an HR person, and say, where's my people? That's a thing that I see people doing wrong. And then I'll give you another one that I see people doing wrong is all of the handling from the time a resume comes in to the time a job offer goes out is an absolute shit show. Nothing is planned. It's like, do you have time this week? No, I don't have time this week. So that candidate's going to have to wait until next week for an interview. What, we really like them? Yeah, we really like them. Okay, well, they'll have to wait. Do you know, like these? It's insane.
Totally.
Yeah, we can't find good people, except for when we do find good people and then we screw up and we can't bring them in. And everything that has to do with the way that they vet resumes, like, again, to your point, we're looking for the perfect resume. Well, cool. Those people are really, really gainfully employed.
Right. Exactly.
So
they're not just out there looking around.
Generally speaking, they're not.
Right.
So when we get a resume being like, nope, is another one of those things that I see people doing wrong. So they expect people to come ready made. That's a mistake. They channel all the recruiting through one person. That's a mistake. They have a really poor lead handling process, I'll call it, for candidate handling process.
Yep.
For people who want to come and join.
Yep.
And then what was the other one? Missing the second one that you said.
They're reactive. They're waiting for people to come to them.
They only hire when they have a need.
Right.
They're like, okay, we just lost somebody. We better start looking.
Right.
Yep. Right.
Yep.
And so they're reactive to the need.
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. That's a good list. So some of the stuff that you can obviously see, like, the opposite of these things is where we're heading. We'll try to bring those things to a clear point for each. But let's talk about resolving that first problem, Matt, where they're hiring people, they're expecting people to come ready-made. If that's the mistake, what's the thing we should be doing as an organization to overcome that one?
So, especially in that situation, if you are in the position where you need somebody to fill that role immediately, it makes it really challenging to do it. If you've got this open position that you need this person to come in and fill that immediately, it makes it really challenging to bring in the right person. But I think overall, it goes past the recruiting part of the process and goes more into internally the types of habits that you need to have, which the first one that jumps to mind is some kind of onboarding program and training on soft skills, standard operating procedures, and expectations for what it means to be an employee inside your company. Because even if that person comes 80% ready made and they don't have the final 20% that you need them to have right away, you can get them most of what they need by having support, onboarding, and training in place that gets them prepared to do the role.
I love it. Yeah. I think so along those lines, there's two things that I heard you say. One, is kind of like couched in the other comment, is like, well, a part of this is recruit all the time. And then you won't be needing to hire somebody that's out of the box perfect for this role. You'll be needing somebody that you can develop into this role. You have a little runway so that you're not like, we need a PM for that job tomorrow, right? Which is that's really stressful. That's one strategy. And then another strategy is become a training organization. Make it your discipline to always get people ready for the roles that you're asking them to play in every facet of playing that role, as well as just the simple facet of like being a good employee here.
Totally. Totally. I've just heard so many times already since being here, people say things to the effect of, a couple months after hiring someone, yeah, they weren't who we thought that they were. They just weren't that person that we thought that they were, and we were really disappointed. And there's so many things that are like, man, you expected them to come ready, and you're disappointed in them. You didn't give them any resources, and you're disappointed in them. You hired them out of this deep need, and you're disappointed in them.
When are you going to look at you?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And some of this stuff does come from a maybe a bygone era where there were more candidates than there were jobs in the construction industry, and you could literally be like, no, you didn't fit, next,
Yep.
and bring in somebody else that's resume was equally qualified.
Yep.
And that's just not the era that we're living in, and that era may come back. I'm not sure. I would doubt it,
Right.
personally.
Right. Everybody's so busy that they're not doing training, and they're not getting people up to level they can. And you got people that didn't build in the field for years that are coming into these positions. And they're 8 years into their career, but they don't know how to build, and it's because they've never built.
Yeah. So maybe also a part of the takeaway for the listener here should be that it like fundamentally take responsibility for making your hires successful as an attitude, as a mindset, that like it's not their job to show up and win. It's our job to hire well. Right. Let's hire the right people. And then the people that we hire, if we are convinced they're the right people, let's invest in these people and help them to be successful. Now, I know, and it's like, trust me, as one business owner to another, I get it. This costs money. You know what I mean? Like this, you're like, okay, great, Chad, Matt, we'll stand up a training program. That sounds awesome. How much money is that going to cost? And the answer is like money, some, for sure.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be incredible. It just has to be there. There has to be some substance. You can start off. And one of the things that I'd say to a lot of the business owners, and I have, over the years, and I won't use any names here to protect the innocent, but I'll be like, how about you freaking train them? Do you know how to do that job? Yes. Then why are you not? Well, I shouldn't have to. Okay, well, then you have to spend money.
Right. Right.
You pick.
Right.
Either train them or buy training.
Yeah, totally.
And so that will lead me to one other thing, is that, like, depending on who you are, right? You may be listening to this and you're a $500 million company and you're like, yeah, we have a training department on it. And so if so, sorry for the past 45 seconds. Talking about that, but I think most of our listeners are, middle market companies or even small businesses that are, they are asking themselves, like, how do I swing it? So I've given you one option. You can do it yourselves. Your team is capable of providing some training, including you, Mr. or Mrs. Owner.
Totally.
Right? Yep. That's one answer. Number two is there are outsourced training resources through industry associations and so on, that if you're not researching and tapping into, you're missing the boat. If you're a trade contractor, I promise there's somebody training people how to do your trade. There's, you know what I'm saying? And there are people training project managers and estimators. There are people training blueprint reading and all these different fundamentals. Yep. And all these programs exist out there, and they're not cheap, but they're also not ridiculous. You might drop $6,000 to $12,000 into an employee using outside training in their first year to get them up to speed in a role. And I would say, like, hey, cheaper than Recruiter.
Cheaper than Gallup did a study, and the cost of replacing an employee is 50% to 200% of their salary.
Cheaper than that.
Cheaper than that.
I mean, unless they're getting paid $24,000, in which case they're in Mexico or right. India or something like that. In which, like, okay, cool. I get different conversation.
Right.
Because offshoring is a thing, by the way, and there is value in offshoring. We could get into that. There are spots where offshoring can make sense, but different episode, different day. So the other thoughts that occur to me when it comes to training, I'll hit on them quickly, is recruiting, enlisting, that is, enlisting your entire organization in the recruiting effort. And it's not enough, though it is required. It is a good idea. It's not enough to just put that hiring bonus out there. Hiring bonus is a neat thing, right? Like, hey, recruit somebody, we'll pay you a couple bucks. Cool. That sounds nice. And it's smart, and I'm not knocking it. I'm not saying it's not an important piece of the puzzle, but it's not the puzzle.
Yep.
That's not the whole puzzle. And you have to teach your people how to recruit. You have to tell them, you have to give them the words to use. They're all hanging out with people that could potentially be employees to your company. They know folks, and ethically, without like poaching, without being, overly aggressive or whatever, it's not hard for them to it's not hard to teach them what to say about their company, where they work, to say the great things, right? And to make people aware that they're hiring.
Totally.
It's not super complicated.
No, the directive is one, make friends, and two, be open minded that they could be a great fit here.
That's exactly right. Yeah. And side note, if you, to the extent that you have it, and you probably should, it pays.
Oh, from the yes, yeah,
right. It
yep,
pays.
totally.
And by the way, you think you're not improving your own stock inside an organization by being a lightning rod and a recruiter for your own personal network? Absolutely, you are.
Totally. Yeah, and that sparks to mind, just by the way, for any of the business owners that are out there, or department heads that have people that are bringing people in, a really good indication about how your culture is performing is if there's people on your team that are willing to bring their friends in and come work for the company. And if people are putting their name on the line, and their friendships on the line, and their relationships on the line, then you should be really grateful to those people for being willing to bring those people in.
Yeah, this is another one of those, like, we're not going to go in it, but another rabbit hole potential, right? Is just the comment, like the thought that if you want to be a great recruiting company, start with being an awesome place to work.
That totally.
Be an awesome place to work, and it kind of
totally.
does take care of yourself. It take care of itself. I may have said this on the show before. I apologize if I have, but there's a fellow that I've had a chance to spend time with over the years, who's awesome. He works at Rupert Landscape. His name is Jack Jones, and Jack has this great line. I mean, I'm sure it's not his, but he has a lot of one-liners. But one line is that he goes, "Look, man, we just focus on being the best painter in town." It's a landscape company, I don't know, but he goes, "We just focus on being the best painter in town. The best painter in town never has to look for work." And it's like, the best place to work in town doesn't have to look for people. So if I'm sorry, I said I wasn't going to go down the rabbit hole, but if you, and then I was so cool down there.
It's fascinating.
I think they have carrots.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh.
I want to
just don't eat them.
Just don't
right? Until after the show.
Yeah. Right. Fair enough. What about during the show? It's a different. You know what?
Wow. Can we eat carrots during the show? All right, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, we're talking about rule number 5.
Yeah.
Before B.
Yeah.
But no, it's so kind of like, always be recruiting. Don't wait. As one of those, like, fundamental principles, be a training organization. Another thing is really, really, really focus on being an awesome place to work, because it's very easy for your employees to sell, and the market does it for you, right? Like, the market is saying, like, that they got their shit together.
Totally. And I think one of the things that you're alluding to in all of this, as well as bringing it back to like the recruiting part specifically, if you ever find yourself hiring someone because you just need a body. You ever heard that? We need a body.
Yeah, we got to have a body.
We need a body. We got to have a body. Well, what that does is it undermines every other person that comes in and wants to bring the positive culture and integrity and all of that other stuff, because you've got people in there that aren't fits, but they're just a body.
Amen. Yeah. It's ugly that people, don't just allow it, but embrace it. It leads to in crowds and out crowds. It leads to, a lack of inclusivity, which is a really important vibe in your organization.
Yep.
Do people feel like they're in? Are they a part of it? Or are they not? And so when you hire people that, you're in your brain, you're classifying as a body, that's not fair to them. It's not fair to the rest of your people. It's not fair to your culture. It sucks all the way around.
Totally.
So one last thought that I have around all of this. I mentioned the term before, is poaching. Mm-hmm. What's your stance on poaching? What is poaching? Have you given that any thought?
I would say poaching is taking employees from direct competition, especially ones that you have some kind of relationship with.
Yeah, and where's the line, right? Ethically, what's the balance on poaching? So any gut feel, because like, so I get asked this question fairly often. I got asked this question by a client of ours a couple of weeks ago. It was really funny. It was like, "What's your stance on poaching?" I was like, "Love it." Right. And he was like, "Ooh, cringe," and I was like, I'll describe what I mean.
Yeah.
Because I really do appreciate a certain decorum amongst direct competitors of not making it a war
Mhm.
between each other. I think that's not good for anybody, frankly. I think it drives wages out of control and eventually just hurts everyone and creates a massive market reset. Like, I could get in why that's problematic more than that, but I won't. Um but yeah, I'm not going to shy away from hiring your dude.
So then what do you do if your dude shows up and sends you a job description or a resume? Are you just taking the interview, hiring them, no conversation, or what are you doing? What
Yeah.
is the decorum in that situation?
So that person, to me, would, number one, have to raise their hand first. So I'm not going to go after that person directly. If you know what I mean, I'm not going to go to them and say, hey, I think you should come and work for us. I will make it very clear in our conversations that I love where I work. I will, in our conversations about business, reference that we are hiring. But I won't go cross the bridge of saying like, "Hey, man, can we talk?" Unless that person opens up and starts talking about dissatisfaction, they're not happy with where they're working, and those types of things. In which case, I'm just being a good friend to say, dude, there are options, and we have an awesome place to work, right? As an example, here's my basic philosophy: if they're gonna leave, they might as well come and work for me.
They're going to go somewhere.
But I'm not gonna make them leave.
Right.
If they're gonna leave, they might as well come and work for me. And uh, the overall attitude is then that if this person has indicated they want to leave, it really depends how friendly I am with my competitor. There's probably an in group of competitors, because by the way, with competitors, I don't give a shit about inclusivity. But there's probably an in group of competitors that we have
Mutual respect.
mutual respect. We talk. We know what's going on. We share what we're seeing in the industry. We talk a little bit about client experiences. We talk a little bit about trends, and
There's some overlap, but in the
yes,
work that we do, the clients we have,
but it's mutual respect. It's like, you do good work, we do good work. If we could compete against people like you, we'd be happy,
that's what
right?
we want.
That group, I would probably talk to my candidate and I would say, "Hey, look, I have a great relationship with this company, and I'm confident that if you want to leave them, they're going to let you leave. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to call them and I'm going to tell them that we've talked. If you're not comfortable with that, then you're not ready to go."
Mhm.
Right. And they're going to basically, at that point, they're going to probably come at you and try to save you or something like that, which may happen. And if that happens, that's okay. But I really want to be clear. I'm not doing that for the majority of my competitors.
Right.
I'm doing that for people that I'm tight with.
Right.
But that's it. Other than that, like, I'm not gonna, call you your competitor, my competitors' people and work them. I'm not gonna be at a networking event and be like, "Hey, where you ought to work," and hand them a card, right? I'm not gonna, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna build relationships with people because I'm a human and that's a part of our DNA, and people that I end up really loving, I'll be honest, they're gonna go on a list.
Right. Right.
I will be noting that I will spend extra time with those people
Right. Right.
strategically.
Right.
Is that okay?
Yeah, I mean, hey, if you are just talking about how your company is doing great and
Yeah.
that you got happy people, then look, you got to do what you got to do, man.
You
You
do.
got to build
You can't be
relationships.
afraid to. You can't be afraid to step on people's toes. As again, and like, I think you have to have your own code of ethics and be true to that.
Yeah. Yeah. Immediately when you ask the question, if you feel like there's somebody that you should call and have the conversation with them before you have that interview, then sleep on it. If you still feel like it in the morning, then make the call.
Yeah,
I think
agreed.
that's a good rule of thumb.
I generally I've trying to think of a real circumstance before I just talk. I don't believe I've ever regretted, even when the outcome felt like, damn, I gave away my strategic advantage, or whatever. I've never really regretted that move.
Clearing that.
Yeah. Now, the key thing, and we've talked about this ad nauseum offline and a little bit online, but the key thing really is to recognize, like, is that because I'm a sissy?
Yep.
Or is that because it really is the right thing to do? Like, meaning, because sometimes people are way nicer than like, that's not ethics, man. That's just you wimping out.
Right.
Anyway, that's like,
Totally.
there's a sometimes you are in war and you need to recognize that.
Well, and if you're one of those people, then the thought that should be going through your mind is, how am I wrong? And if you're one of the people that gives no thought to, why the fuck would I call them? What's the matter? You should probably do the opposite and have the thought, well, why should I call? And then after you have that thought, if you still agree with yourself, then do it or don't do it.
Dude, that's such good advice. That is such good advice. That is really, and it's like, whichever end of the spectrum you fall on, just recognize that you're on that end of the spectrum, and that's not always right.
And the opposite could be as equally true as what you believe.
I'm so glad you're here. I need that.
Yeah.
Let's get into our XVY conversation.
Now let's go here.
So the XVY is, should you fire fast or slow? I bet you can guess what side of that equation I'm on.
Yeah. Go ahead, Chad. What side are you on?
I believe it or not, Matt, I think you should fire people fast.
Yeah.
I don't know, is that a shocker?
It's it's not for me. There might be somebody listening right now that doesn't know you well enough, but why is that? And I am on the side of firing slow, but why is it that you feel so strongly about firing fast?
I have watched countless hours and dollars wasted on people that we are hoping we can work. Nice people, good people. They're mostly good people.
Right.
Most people are good. I don't know, maybe I'm a rube, but I really do believe that. I think most people are good. I'm not this cynic, out there. I'm not fire people because it's fun. It sucks. Nobody likes firing people. I hate firing people, but I love how it feels after you fire the people that should be fired.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And so here's the litmus test. And this is the thing that I've just watched. I'm telling you, man, probably, no kidding, 300 to 500 times. You know what I mean? Like, just multiply the amount of clients by at least 4 or something like that. Shit, it might be 1,000 times.
Yeah.
That I've watched this. Somebody quits and everybody goes, "Oh, thank God."
Totally.
And I'm like, that should never, ever happen. If you ever find yourself relieved that somebody quit, it means you are a giant wimp. That you didn't go and clear, either that or you're lazy, or you're telling yourself you're too busy. My God, if you're like, "Oh, thank God, Martin quit. Oh, thank God." Right? And everybody in the company is like, "Yeah." And look, I've seen it so many times. And the thing that goes through my mind is like, how much money have they been wasting on somebody that sucks? How much money have they been wasting paying somebody a salary, holding a spot that somebody else should be holding, having them do crappy work, having to deal with whatever crappy outcomes they're creating for the rest of the employees, losing awesome people that don't want to work with Martin, right? And so on and so on and so on, that we just have this. So my look, if you're going to err on a side, like if you're going to make a mistake and fire either too slow or too fast, to me, it's too fast by a mile. I would much rather you were like, "Oh, maybe I shouldn't have fired that one." Right?
Yeah, right.
Because I've seen it happen so little.
Right.
We have one client that is the owner, one of the owners of this business, is so efficient at recognizing a bad fit and removing a bad fit that it has kept his overhead down, his profits up, his morale up, his overall quality of employee up, his reputation up. I mean, I'm just watching this positive cycle that, like, anytime he sees it, he's like, no, we're not going to have that. You're out.
And yeah, and that's really fascinating. And what I even when we started having this discussion, how do you define fast? What does fast mean?
God, that's a good question.
Because
Right away.
right
No,
away, right,
no. So
right.
okay, so all right. My point is, if you're listening to this and you're like, I need to fire faster, damn it. If you're having that realization, I want you to fire what feels like goddamn right away, because it's probably still too slow. If you're somebody who's like, I fire all the time, right away, fast, I might be like, well,
Pump the brakes.
pump the brakes.
Yeah. Take
Like,
it easy there,
let's take a
Killer.
big deep breath. Take a big deep breath.
Yeah.
So it all depends on the situation. Certain things are just like trust killers, and you're done. Right? Like, oh, you stole, so goodbye. Today was your last day.
Totally.
See ya. Right? And like, we could come up with a list of things like that, right? That fit that category. But let's just pretend it's like run of the mill underperformance. Okay. Let's just pretend like it's run of the mill. You're not getting the job done. And I'm trying to help you to get the job done. I need to see progress this week. And then next week. And then next week. And I probably need to get to a place where I no longer have you on the bubble. Which should happen in probably inside a month. I'm not giving somebody, when people tell me they have a 90-day PIP, I'm like, why?
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. How about a 30-day PIP? Because if they're on
I think the PIP is just a silly thing.
I think it's a weird policy thing that people think they have to do from an HR standpoint. And at some point, I actually will dig deep with some of the, I know some really, really great HR people and be like, is that bullshit? Do you really need that? Because there are people, I was just in a conversation a couple of weeks ago where somebody was like, well, we want them, like, we don't want to fire them, right? We want to get them to quit. I'm like, no, fire them.
Right.
And they're like, well, that's not what HR is saying. And I'm like, okay, I'm not HR, and I'm sure that there are some documentation things that you have to do first. But like, dude, if you're trying to avoid paying unemployment, shut up.
Right.
Stop it. Pay unemployment. Right. You made a bad hiring decision. Pay for it.
Right.
Stupid.
Right.
Right. That's pay the idiot tax. Of paying unemployment because you hired somebody wrong and you had to fire them. Don't be what is the cost of keeping this terrible person that you want to fire?
Right. Right.
Are you shitting me?
Be grateful that you're paying the unemployment tax at that point.
It's way cheaper than having somebody that's like bumping their head into everything in your world, right? Or worse. Anyway, Matt, fire fast is my policy. That's my stance. I've found almost everybody that I work with needs to fire way faster than they fire. But they, and oh my God, this is going to be so cliche. I'm actually going to say it. Oh shit, there's a reason it's a cliche. But they should hire a little bit more patiently. They should hire a little bit more carefully. They are definitely throwing bodies at things, and it feels bad. When you're throwing a body at a thing, you like there is an innate guilt that you sort of have. Like, I just threw a body at it. Like, I don't even know if Rachel's good. I just know that I don't want her here.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, kind of thing. And so you do feel guilty, and then you hold on to them because of personal guilt and all that stuff. And all that stuff to me is like, just go to Rachel and say, I'm a terrible hiring manager, but you're not working out. I'm sorry that we hired you, and I'm sorry that I'm now firing you. But you should totally go collect unemployment. That is an idiot tax I will pay.
Right. Totally.
Right. Because I didn't do my job well enough. But that the reality is you need to go find a new job.
Yeah.
We're not running a kindergarten here.
Yeah. No, totally. Well, and I think that there are situations where you have people that obviously aren't a fit, and obviously they could do something, immoral, but there are situations where you just know that somebody's not the right fit. And if you're having that sense, even after 30, 60 days, then it's probably the right move. I think what I would like to talk about real quick as it relates to,
so if you're going to fire more slowly,
what are the things that need to be in place to make sure that you're doing it the right way? And I'm going to talk about it from the perspective of somebody who you are bringing on for a position in your company that it's not somebody that's been around for a while. It's somebody that you're bringing on that's a new hire in this recruiting scenario that you bring on and you hire. It's not somebody that's been around for a while. Okay?
Yep, I'm with you.
And it is, I think the first thing that you need to do is have a very clear job description that you give to that person during the interview process and review it with them as you get as you start employment together. And then I think the next thing is to have a standard onboarding program that typically runs 60 to 90 days that includes check-ins with their manager at 30, 60, and 90 days, and
Yep.
opportunities for you to give coaching along the way and clearly communicate expectations along the way of how the person is performing against the job description that you discussed.
Yeah.
And then that there has to be very clear conversations about the person underperforming in those environments and throughout the month.
So what if they're underperforming and it's day 60? What am I doing?
If it's day 60, I'm probably, let me think about this for a second. So if it's day 60 and I'm bringing in a new project manager.
Yeah. What are some of the questions that you would ask to determine whether it's time to cut bait?
Probably the first one, and this is, a question I've learned from you, so sorry to steal your
No,
thunder,
dude.
but is if I could go back 60 days and hire this person again for this position, would I do it?
Right. And you're sitting there and you're going, no, I'm
Right.
not seeing it.
Right. And another one would be if I could go back and hire them for the assistant project manager
For a different
position,
role.
right? For
Right.
a different role, for one that's less advanced, would I do it?
Because, and I would agree with that. In the first 90 days is a really good time to be like, hey man, I think I'm glad we hired you, but I think we hired you for the wrong position. And I'd like to repurpose that. I'd like to, adjust it and get that straight. And then you'll have a decision to make on whether you want to take that job. But I think that's fair, right? Okay, cool.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm hearing what you're saying.
And then I think the next question you ask yourself is, do they fit the culture? Because if you have somebody that is a fantastic cultural fit, you can teach them skills. You can't teach them integrity. You can't teach them the other core values that you guys, whatever they might be, the hard work, the humbleness, the hungry, whatever. But if they're fitting that, it looks like you have thoughts.
Well, I think a part of me wants to agree with you, Matt, but another part of me is like, I hate to sound terrible, like most people are good. I don't think it's that hard to find good culture fits. I think people blow that out of proportion. Personally, I think like we gotta find the right culture fit, and I'm like, well, just you find that most people are assholes. Like, what do you experience out there? Because I don't. I find that most people are pretty awesome. I find that most people are like most people's core values aren't like lie, cheat, steal. Most people's core values aren't those things. So I am hearing you when like you feel this person is a fit. Damn it, I want to make it work. I'm just cautioning our audience again.
Sure.
Like, and again, listen to Matt too, right? He has like, don't just listen to him. I'll tell you what the thing. I'll tell you what the thing.
Well, and I think some of that's shaped by your experience of the
Yes.
people that you are hiring are the people that you've been building a relationship with for all this time.
Yes.
So yeah, you think that oh my gosh, I only have good people. Yeah, dude, because you're freaking good at what you do, right? There are people that are on this call that are like, thank goodness I got somebody that's a good fit for me.
That's a good. Thank you. I appreciate your saying that. I think that there's definitely some shred of truth around that. But I also think, again, here's all I'm saying: we can convince ourselves that we really love a person because we're wimps,
right?
Because what's really going on is we don't like the idea of taking that person's living away. And the truth, like, dude, the unemployment rate is still, even though it's gotten a little higher, it's still crazy low. They're going to be fine. Yeah, people are going to go get a job.
So then what is maybe like a mindset that somebody can take at that point? I mean, it's not just don't be a wimp. What's a positive view they can have about firing someone? If the negative view is I'm taking away this person's ability to have a life and live, what's a positive view that they can take?
Well, I'm helping them to go find a place that they can thrive.
Boom.
Because I'm not a place that they're going to thrive.
This isn't good for them,
right?
Either.
I don't like them. Right. I don't want them here. My team is not supportive of them. That's got to suck for them.
They don't feel good about it either.
Yeah, you think they're going home and they're like, honey, I'm loving this gig. Nobody talks to me.
It's amazing.
Right? Again, they could be in that very, very small group of people that are really bad, but then it's a very small group of people, man. Like it's so I will say in one arena, as you were talking, and I'm thinking about this, really tapping in with like my empathy, which, believe it or not, is higher than it maybe seems on this program.
Very high empathy.
It's the best, the highest empathy. It's the highest.
Stop. It's very, very.
You're gonna love my empathy. But tapping into my empathetic side, I think you have to fire proven people very, very slowly. I think, and I think you have to show them an immense amount of loyalty. I think you have to be really patient with proven people, with the people that have been with you through thick and thin, that have done the thing. They've invested a good portion of their lives and careers with you. And I think that is important, not only ethically, but ethically is 50% of it at least, right? It's just like you don't fire a 15-year employee after, a bad month. You just don't. Um, that person could be going through a divorce. That person could be dealing with an addiction. That person could be, starting to experience slippage from their mental health standpoint. Like you don't know. You don't know until you know, and then you got to dig in with those people. What you can't do is shy away from the tough conversation. Hey, Bill, I'm noticing that you haven't been yourself. Can we talk? I'm seeing some concerning performance items. Let's really get into that. But I am definitely not going to Bill and saying, "Hey, man, I'm seeing some stuff over the past month. It's just not cutting it. We're gonna let you go for a 15-year employee." I'm not doing that, man. I'm just 10-year, 15-year, 20-year, 30-year. Like you get to these points. These are loyal people, and so if 50% of it is ethics, another 50% of it is just good business. The good business part of it is twofold. One, they're a proven entity, and when people have a blip, that is often just what it is, and it can be resolved. And so it's probably worth that investment. Number two is that the loyalty that you build with that person by sticking through that with them. If they were a 15-year, they're going to be a 50-year. And the loyalty that it breeds with the rest of your organization when they watch how leadership handled somebody who was struggling. When they saw the generosity of spirit, when they saw the kindness, when they saw the patience, when they saw that kind of care for people who've cared for the organization, that is huge. And I'll take the flip side of that just for a second and be like, when they watch you fire that 15-year employee after one bad month, everybody there goes, okay, this is a transactional environment. Yep. Noted. We are replaceable. Yep. But when everybody sees you hang in there with that person who is going through their thing and be patient with them through their thing and set them up for success, give them a little extra time off, cover for them, like those types of things for a period of time with good expectations. And like, hey man, I am going to need to see some things. I've seen situations, Matt, where this person has been a 20-year employee. They ran into the roadblock. They got the loyalty. They spent a month. They spent 2 months. They spent 3 months. Then the company said, hey, look, I think it's best for everybody if we let you go for now. The door is open if you get your life together. Here's some severance, here's some, something, we want to help you, but we just can't have you here. Whether it's dependency issues or what I mean? Like whatever, I won't get into stuff, but you know what I mean? Right. Drug stuff or alcohol whatever, stuff, right. Or family stuff or mental health stuff or, any of those types of things. I've watched all those types of scenarios, and I've actually seen that person come back after they get well and be like deeply appreciative, and really keep those lines of communication open. So anyway, all around to say, like, my soft side is loyalty is a two-way street, damn it.
Yep.
Right. And so I definitely am on the side of having the back of people who've been here and are proven over the long haul. But I'm not on the side of somebody just because they've been here for 12 years. If they've been here for 12 years and sucking for 12 years, it's time to go, baby. Right. I am getting rid of that person tomorrow and be like, hey, man, it's my fault I haven't fired you for 12 years, but like you suck and you've sucked for 12 years. Let's get you out of here as quickly as possible. So it's not just years. It's proven, loyal, kick-ass people that you do not bail on when they've given you all that effort and time. That's it.
Cool.
Huh?
Good stuff.
Did I win again?
You certainly I'd love the time breakdown of your argument versus mine. You definitely got me outbeat with facts and supporting evidence. And honestly just talking time.
We did totally the talking time, 100%. We should get buzzers.
We should. Oh, that's a good idea.
No, it's not a good idea. I don't like that for me.
Well, you're gonna buzz way fast. You fire
enough.
You buzz too fast.
Enough.
I know for a fact you would buzz too fast. And I would buzz too slow. You know what? And maybe you could buzz slower.
We'd actually worsen the dynamic.
Yes.
It would tilt way harder.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, I really do appreciate your perspectives, and I agree. It's all about doing it the right way. Yep. And for sure, you should listen to Matt's advice on doing it the right way. I have crappy advice on doing it the right way, and I always tell my clients that. I will literally say, like, hey, I'm not awesome at all the steps. You need to get with an HR person. You need to get with Matt. You need to, talk to somebody about staging this out the right way, but that person's got to go, and it's got to be as quickly as we can.
No, yeah, and I think it's really important that you bring light to just the reality of this stuff in business, which is to say things like fire faster. I think that's important, because if we're all just standing around saying you should fire slower and you should have this process, then everybody's going to keep doing the same exact thing. So I think what you're doing is very important to this, just expanding the pool of knowledge around how to fire people and why.
And thank you. I appreciate that. And it doesn't live in the vacuum of just that advice, right? It lives in the vacuum of be a great place to work. It, not in the vacuum. I mean, it lives in the broader world of be a great place to work and constantly train your people. And like, you can't exercise what I'm suggesting if you are terrible in all these other phases. And you can't do it and look at yourself in the mirror the same way.
I don't know that we could ever capture every nuance that you need to get into when you're actually making this decision, but they're principles to live by that you just need to have in the back of your mind to make better decisions, faster decisions, right decisions for your business.
Agreed. All right, cool. What are you reading, man?
Right now, I am reading a couple of different books, but the one that I will talk about, because I'm just so excited right now about it, is Big Simple Numbers, Big Profits.
Yeah.
By Greg Crabtree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, your recommendation, which I'm sure I've shared some other ones, but man, what a fantastic book. If you are looking for something that gives you the basics of business financials, about how to understand your financials, and honestly, sorry to give you this spoiler, but things as simple as you want to pay taxes because taxes mean you're making money, and how accountants will give you advice. Here's what you can do to not pay taxes, and just
how that'll screw up your
how
P&L.
that really screws up your P&L and puts you into your line and does all this other stuff that you end up really not recognizing how much money you're making versus not making. And just really good, simple advice that if you're any executive or business owner, or even just doer or manager that's wants to know more about business financials, it's in plain talk, and it's just really good, useful advice.
Love it. I agree completely. That's why I recommended it. For the record, that was a recommendation to me from our good friend Sean Scarlatta at Mobile Video Guard. Awesome dude. And he, you want to see somebody who practices what they preach there. He's a great example of it. He's the man.
Wow, awesome. Yeah. I'll put this thought out there to anybody that's one of those high potential, ambitious people out there. If you really want to wow your boss, understand the financials. We've talked about that in the past, but if you really want to wow your boss, go up to him and ask, "What's our core capital target? How much cash do we have?" Right?
I want your boss be like, I don't know. Can we sit down and talk about that?
Right. Exactly. If you want to, just I can't recommend it enough.
Yep, love it. That's awesome. I'm reading a book called How to Know a Person, which you just started reading too, because it was assigned to our company. So I'm not going to give too much away.
Yep.
I want you to go through the process as well. But so I just finished it. I found the book to be really, really fun read, which I need from time to time. I read a lot of heavy, almost textbooky kind of stuff because of the nature of our work. Like I try, you know what I mean? I don't read enough for just like fun. This book is both fun and extremely effective at at giving you tips and pointers for connecting with other people on a much higher level. My biggest takeaway personally so far is just this simple idea of being with people through their hard times, as opposed to being somebody who's trying to solve their hard times. And that's really, really hard for me, because I'm going to tell you what to do.
You tell.
I'm going to tell. I'll tell you what to do. And so I suck at that. And I don't want to. That's a bummer for me. And so I'm thankfully not having a lot of people in my life right now who are going through openly going through hard times. They may be going through hard times, and maybe I just need to tap into that a little bit more, but just being with them through that. And anyway, there's some pointers that get into more detail that I can skip, but
that's really great. One of my favorite lines that I read from the book so far that seems to be sticking in my brain is, you shouldn't aim to be the cleverest person in the room. You should aim to make other people feel like they're the cleverest person in the room.
100%.
And I just think that's really good advice.
And it's so hard to do. It's because like how do we get our emotional needs met? Oh, I really want to be the cleverest person, right? And so you'll find yourself manufacturing that totally unconsciously. But some people have the gift that's actually what they do unconsciously. If you're not one of those people, then you have to be conscious. You have to really be aware.
Totally. And I think what it forces you to do is to start manufacturing that from within, that feeling of being good enough and being clever enough and all of that you know it's true. So you don't need other people to confirm it for you.
Yeah. And then by the way, when you make other people feel really great, they have a tendency to make you feel really great.
Totally.
That's a good
aim to like other people, not to make other people like you.
And hey,
that's
man,
a good rule for life.
Agreed. And I mean this very seriously. You are amazing at that. That is a gift of yours. Yeah, for sure. But I everybody that I know who knows you has that same kind of experience with you, making other people feel really good. I think it comes. I don't know if it comes very naturally to you, but it certainly looks like it.
Yeah. Thank you. It means a lot.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
I appreciate it.
Well, I think we put another one in the books, dude.
I wonder if it was about an hour. Felt like it.
Probably was. Yeah. And the not eating beforehand.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go.
Let's go get some Indian.
Let's go get some Indian food.
Let's do it.
I do want to pause here for a moment and thank our sponsors who helped to make all this possible. We have 4 companies that help to support the morning huddle and our program. So we have Katz Abosch, which is an awesome accounting firm that has a very deep construction practice and some wonderful people associated with that. So thank you, Katz Abosch. We have Lawrence Law. Kate Lawrence is a boss. She's a fantastic person and coach and lawyer. And if you are a small to mid-sized contractor needing regular legal advice, I strongly recommend Kate and her team. Sandy Spring Bank, which is a regional bank here in the DC metro region, that it just knows exactly what the contractors need and work really hard to remain good partners for them throughout from a financial standpoint. And lastly, Marsh McLennan Agency, bar none, the best bonding people I've ever met are at the Marsh McLennan Agency. And their insurance folks ain't half bad. I strongly recommend you consider Marsh McLennan for both your insurance and bonding needs. Matt, thanks. Let's do this again next month, huh?
Hey, and one more thing.
Yeah.
How many books? 2,400?
We've sold like 2,400 books as of today.
If you are listening to this.
Oh, yeah, the book.
The Well-Built Book by Chad Prinky. I would recommend, and I know this is going to sound like I'm biased because it's our company and because he's my boss and all of that stuff, but I promise that it's just true. If you are an ambitious construction professional, I recommend this book for you. It's well written. It's useful for your business. It's stuff you can apply tomorrow. Go get the book. You will be super glad that you did.
Thanks, Matt. That's awesome.
Always.
That's really good advice too.
It's really true. Good advice. Just read the book.
One other final thought. We have a leadership readiness boot camp coming up in September. That is here in Maryland. There will be a capacity to it, and I'm sure we're going to get real close to it. But if you're interested in learning more about that, you should reach out to Matt or I or anybody on LinkedIn on the Well-Built team. Anybody will take care of you and get you set up with more information about the Leadership Readiness Boot Camp, which will be a 2 to 3 day event with both an essentials track and an executive readiness track. This will be our second time doing it, and I can't wait. The reception the first time was amazing, and I think it's gotten better. So, all right, let's go get some food, man. Thank you.